I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be the art of charming banter. In other words, how you can use banter and playful, charming humor, especially over text, to get women to do what you want. Because a wise man once told me that you don't get what you deserve in life, you only get what you negotiate. And I've got an email here from a guy who, it appears these are texts and messages or instant messages that have gone back and forth between him and one of the girls that he's dating, who I believe is overseas. I think he's in the UK or she's in Portugal, or the other way around. I can't remember, but it's a good. He's got some good things here. He wanted me to critique what I thought of his banter, and the key with banter is it's got to be in your own words. It's got to be things that you would deliver. And like I often say, is that 90% of the time you want to be the charming James Bond, and 10% of the time you want to be the naughty boy at school who flushes an M80 down the toilet, who does something naughty every now and then, or says something that's like a little over the line, maybe could be a little out of line, maybe a little sexual innuendo, but it's not in the way where he's rude and crude. The idea is that with women, it's teasing and messing with them in a playful way. It's like you'll be having a normal conversation, and you'll throw something out there that maybe has some sexual innuendo behind it, and you see what she does with it. And sometimes she may feign dissatisfaction or whatever, and then you tease her and you play with her in your responses. And so let's go through some of these here. He says, hi Corey, I'm out dating other girls that you advised, and it's going really well. Thanks very much for your advice. Now the next challenge is doing the 90% James Bond thing, and then the 10% the naughty boy that flushes the M80 down the toilet. So he says, here's some examples of an actual conversation I had with one of the girls I'm seeing. He says, she says, I've got such a hangover. And then he says, so what the great thing about texting is that you get to think about what you want to say when you respond. And so if she says, I've got such a hangover, I would probably say something like, well, nothing a good session of the Indoor Olympics won't cure, with a little smiley face. Like usually I do like a semicolon with the smiley face, so it's kind of like the wink kind of thing. You know, the Indoor Olympics obviously is referring to sex. And so I'm not saying, hey, you want to come out and fuck your brains out. She's saying, I've got a hangover. And you're saying, nothing a good session in the Indoor Olympics won't cure. And so his response was, I tell you what, grab a bottle of wine, come round, and I'll cook you a lovely meal. And by the time you leave, you'll be smiling from ear to ear and would have forgotten all about your hangover. And she says, what would you cook for me? And when a girl responds to that, because the idea is you want to respond with mystery, and you want them to get curious about the things you say, because you make them curious, then you want them to dig a little bit more. And just as they get really interested, and you're really into the conversation after a few minutes, you're like, I got to run. You'll have to contemplate on that, and you leave them wondering about it, and it just drives them nuts, because then they're all afternoon trying to figure you out, trying to solve your little riddle. So when a girl says, what would you cook for me? I say, well, that's a secret. I'll cook you my secret recipe. And then she'll obviously keep digging. But this is what the guy responded. He says, for you, darling, I would put on my finest skills, and I would even leave my chef's hat on, and I would kiss you so passionately and really mean it. He says, from that one, I got a really funny response. And the idea is you got to put the stuff in your own words. And so, to me, less is more. And so when a woman asks, you'll either respond with a question, or you'll respond with something that it gives them an answer, but it doesn't really give them a complete answer. And so what happens is they've got to try to dig a little bit more to, okay, what's your secret recipe? That kind of thing. And because you just want to have fun, but I don't see anything wrong other than there is kind of a little bit of a tone in the text that you're sending here that kind of sounds like almost as if you're trying to seek her approval, or you're trying to prove to her all this great skills that you have, and how you're going to wait on her hand and foot. And so that's the only thing that I can see so far from what I've read and some of your responses that I would tweak, And the idea is you want to be a little bit more mysterious and a little bit less of the, hey, look at all the great things I'm going to do for you. Look at all the great skills and talents I have. I can grill out. I can use a skillet. I can do something in the oven. And it's kind of like the way you're coming across here is that I think you're fine with what you said, but if it were me, I'd be a little bit more mysterious, a little bit more playful, use a little bit more sexual innuendo, not in a dirty way, but kind of a way that, like I say, indoor Olympics. That's a very innocuous thing. I mean, you can say that in front of kids and they're going, what the hell's the indoor Olympics? I mean, obviously the only adults are going to know that. But that's the kind of stuff that's playful. Because you throw it out there and she said, what are the indoor Olympics? And you say, well, it's kind of like Twister, but both of us will be naked. Say something like that. He's like, and it could, you know, it's just, you want to have fun with it. And so it's like your answers, it's almost like a maze. It's like you give her an answer and it could go left, it could go right. And either way she goes, it leads into an even bigger maze with even more questions and more stuff to scratch your head going, But if you tell her everything's going to happen, then she knows. And but when it's like you leave open-ended conversations and you kind of leave things up in the air when because obviously you're not going to see her because she lives in another country. And so in between the time that you're chatting back and forth, like if she's texting you and you're responding to text or a Facebook chat, these are great ways to just leave her wondering and thinking about you all the time. Because if she's thinking about you when you're not talking to her and you're not around her, that's going to cause her level of attraction and interest in you to go up, which is a good thing. He says, let's see. She says, I don't get it. I just went to bed at 9 and I still woke up every hour until 5. Give me sleep. And then he says, don't worry, darling. That will soon be over. After some beautiful days with you and me, you'll sleep like an angel. And then she says, aw, I hope so. I thought of something. Do you want me to stand with a sign with your name on it at the airport like the taxi drivers? And you say something like, that sounds like a great idea. Just wear nothing but you and the sign around your neck naked, and I guarantee you I'll be able to spot you in the crowd. Just silly, funny stuff like that. It's not rude. It's not crude. It's just kind of playful. It's a little naughty. And just the thought of that and what that I mean, it's like in a way you're communicating that you desire her and you're thinking about her in a sexual way, but you're not being a pig about it. You're not being a dick about it. He says, let's see here. She says, she's okay. This is when he comes to the airport. So this is after she says the thing about the sign. And then his response is, ha ha ha. And then he writes in big letters, Super Mario. If you want, which I guess his name is Mario, so he calls himself Super Mario, like the video game. He says, if you want to, but I'd rather you'd be wearing something nice and sexy. It's going to be awesome. And I mean, that's fine, because when you communicate what you want a girl to wear or how to dress, and then she shows up in that, those are the just little subtle things that you can look at and go, oh wow, okay, she's a flexible girl. And that's important when you're dating a woman, is you want a woman that when you suggest to wear something sexy, and then she comes and wears like a baggy t-shirt and baggy clothes and no makeup and her hair up in a bun, and she doesn't look attractive at all. I mean, she might be a control freak, or she just doesn't give a shit. And those are like little things that you want to look at, because a woman who likes you and who wants you to like her and wants you both to have a good time, she'll participate and she'll want to look good for you. And those are all like little subtle things, because like I said, you're kind of like a detective all the time. You're always trying to figure out where you stand with this particular girl, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're wasting your time with a chick who's really not that into you. But from what you share with me here, it sounds like you're doing pretty good. She's going to see you. And so, like I said, you just turn it up a little bit and maybe be a little bit more mysterious, and try not to be saying things as if like you're trying to display your pedigree or all of your skills or all of the things that you know how to do, and like, oh, I've got these 10 great skills and I'm going to do all these things for you and cook this great meal. That is, in a way, like I was saying earlier, it's like you're going about it in a way you're trying to seek her approval. Like I said, there's just a tone of it or a hint of it, and so I'd say you're fine. But like I said, I'd be a little bit more playful, like, and just use some of the things that I suggested. But other than that, I think you're doing great. So if you have a question that you want to ask me or a topic you want me to cover in a future video newsletter, go to my website and click the Contact Me tab, which is going to be on the left-hand side of your screen, and send me 1 to 2 paragraphs maximum, detailing your questions, your situation, your challenges, and just give me several days to get back to you with a response, because I get a lot of email from the internet, and I also get a lot of it from my paying phone coaching customers. I obviously got to focus on their emails first, but be patient and I will get back to you. If you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session, and you can do that by going to my website and clicking the products tab on any page and just follow the instructions. And if you want to get a digital copy of my Kindle ebook, on my website, right underneath the email sign-up box, is a link that'll take you directly to Amazon Kindle, so you can download my book in under 60 seconds, and then whatever electronic device you want to read it on, whether it's an Android or Android smartphone or an iPhone or an iPad or a tablet of some kind or a Mac or a PC, Amazon Kindle has a free e-reader app, and so depending on your electronic device, you can download their free e-reader app. And the great thing about that is whatever page you leave off on, like say you're reading my book at work on your PC, and then you get home and then you log into your Mac. Say you left on page 50 at the office. Well, when you log into the Kindle app at home, it'll be right on page 50 where you left off. It only takes 60 seconds. Link is right underneath the email sign-up box on my website. And I will talk to you soon.